Good evening, y'all. Welcome back to Papa. Y'all right in there? Welcome back to Papa Preppers Tea here. Hope y'all are having a good day. If somebody could throw me a 5x5, let me know y'all can hear and see us okay. And as you guys know, before I'm joined by Jim S tonight. He has been kind enough. He's going to go over some radio knowledge with us and hopefully teach us some things. I know I'm definitely going to benefit from it. But if I buy, all right. Thank you, Don. I appreciate it. Let's see who all's in here. Joe Morgan, prepped for Independent Marine 3522, Kim's Farmstead Living, Tamara Reynolds. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. True American Loretta, CC Collins, um, Scott NC, Jeep Girl. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Mame's Legacy, good evening. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. I think that might just about catch me up. Don Bellerman, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Christ First, Prep Next, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Carrie Lunsford, good to see you. Ashley, good to see you. Hope your back's doing better. Was it Ashley? I think it's Ashley. Her back was having problems with her back. Flow Grown Homesteader, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Tiny Titan, Angie Morris. Boy, we're getting full in here. Northern Girl Hobbies, good to see you guys. All right, I think that catches us all up. So, hey, Be Charming, good to see you. Thanks for being here. I know Jim has got a few answers in regards to some questions from Joe Morgan. So I think I will let him kick off with that real quick, and then he can tell us a little bit, about what we're getting into here.
All right, first say good evening to y'all. Any members of the Southern Michigan Amateur Radio Society that's joining us this evening, good evening to y'all as well. I did put out the word on the local repeater here in Battle Creek and told them join us here tonight. So
Cool, thank
I
you.
don't see any of them in the house, but if you're here, good evening. All right, Joe. First couple of questions for you, sir, and then we'll open it up to whatever. Joe asked about the viability of radios after they're trying to jam signals. I don't, Joe. I don't know if you were specific to CB radio or the amateur radio service, uh, but to address that one first, that is more pronounced in the CB radio service than in amateur radio. You'll get some knuckleheads local that if they don't like you is going to try to mess with you and key over you, and it'll be problematic. Uh, Mostly local. You'll get a knucklehead down the street that doesn't like you and try to either get over the top of you to keep others from hearing you, or they will wait until you unkey to, plug up your receive so you can't hear anybody else. That's how that's done, and so it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still around every now and again. Also, Joe, you asked about the viability of older CBs and scanners. There's still a lot of guys that like to hack around with the old equipment, the old tube type stuff, the 23 channel stuff. If you're on Facebook, Joe, by the way, there are groups specific to that. Vintage CB Radio, I think, is one of them, and the other one called Antique CB Radio pre 1977 or something to that effect. If you do a search for it on Facebook, you'll find it. There are guys that are specific to tube equipment and some of the old Brownings and sonars and that, that are still vacuum tubes are still pretty popular. As to old scanners, not as big as it used to be. Back when I was in high school in that 80s, even into the 90s, scanner listening was pretty cool. Could listen to all the police calls and the fire departments and everything. But the police departments have since moved to 800 megahertz, and they do what's called trunking, where their frequencies will change seemingly with just about every transmission. So it's hard to keep up with a given police department. The fire departments, the ambulance services, the hospitals, and everything are still pretty much where they used to be. So you can still hear them calls, but as far as the actual police departments themselves, that's a little more difficult. Unless you have a rural department, they don't have the money for all the high tech fancy stuff. So they may still be where they're at. But that's what it is on the scanners. So. And you can still pick up the National Weather Service and all that with scanners. So there you go. All right, I think that about answers everything there. Joe, tell me if that answers all your questions, or if you have some more. If you've got some more, I'll take whatever you got, and if not, then we'll open it up to the floor. Yeah, so some of the newer ones will still trunk. Yeah, they will. But even with the trunking stuff, I've had a hard time following, say St. Louis or something.
Hey, Raptor Ranch, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Thought there was another one I missed. Big German Prepared, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
I can't read the chat, Joe. So yeah, if you're good, we'll move on. But yeah.
Yeah, he said, "Tell Jim thank you and yes."
All right, Joe. I got 2 pages of stuff from the menu of Bay of Things. We can either go over that, or if anybody's got questions in general.
Here's your first one.
All right, Prepper 4. Can a CB base station be used with any of the stealth antenna options for those that can't install large antennas? Yeah. A lot of guys, such as yourself, that are in, say, an apartment building where they can't get an antenna outside. Yes. Do a search for stealth antennas, apartment dwelling antennas. And I talked about that little tram. I got one outside. They only stand about 3 foot. Can mount it out like on a little piece of conduit. There's even guys that will take a long roll of wire, throw it out the window, and get an antenna matcher to adjust the SWRs for the radio. That way, sort of out of sight, out of mind, and nobody knows that you're sitting there playing radio. And
right,
even if you're getting into their TV or their phone, they're like, where is this coming from? They won't think to look for you. So
right.
Prepper 4, yes, the tram will work. Just make sure your SWR is good. If not, pick up a little antenna matcher, and yeah, they'll work just fine. Yeah, the range is not going to be as good as, say, one of the big Antrons or the Stereos, but it will get you on the air and get you heard.
Nice. Hello, Kaufman. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. So, is there, while we kind of will pause, if a question pops up or whatever. So, what about these little dudes here? The Baofeng UV5RE. Where are they? I think that's a pretty popular, like one a lot of people have. That's why I ended up getting this one. Actually, I got all 3 of them.
This is my little dude. I got the big antenna, the what is it, 5/8 wave or something to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Extends the range. The only issue that that I have with the antenna, if I go to set it on top of the desk, it makes it top heavy, so it wants to tip itself over. And I got the speaker mic along with it. Plugs into the side. Let me get it in front of the camera. Plugs into the side of the radio. Saves wear and tear on your thumb from having to key on the side of the radio. That'll wear your thumb out real fast if you're going to talk very long at all. So the speaker mic saves you a lot of grief on that.
I bet.
And I am impressed at all get out. Granted, these things are menu driven, which I'm old school where I'm used to just moving some knobs or some buttons on the front. The menu and everything. It took me a while of reading, and the one criticism I have of the Baofeng is the owner's manual leaves a lot to be desired. I looked at that thing and I just So, all right,
here's our first. Not first, but here's another. Whoop. Sorry, Don. There we go.
Yeah, Independent Marine. What type of ham setup would I need to reach from Virginia to, say, Canada? Anything HF related. Any of the ham bands there would work. 10 through 80. Although we're still at, we just came off a solar cycle 24. And cycle 25 is starting, and the bands really haven't picked up a whole lot yet. But they're getting there. Once that picks up 10 and 15 meters, it'll get you into Canada from Virginia just fine. Right now, 20, 40, and 80 get you in there without a problem. Fairly low-priced HF system would get you in there for, I don't know, a couple $300, all depending on how much you're looking to spend and what your budget looks like. Decent dipole antenna thrown up between the trees, and you won't have any problems getting into Ontario or any of that at all.
Very nice. Deep Girl. Baofeng handheld Baofeng 2-pack, 8-watt radio +1, cable +2, speaker 2-pack, tri-power. $75.41, good price for 2.
Cass, is that on the 9R, the high power versions there? And while I'm waiting for you to answer that, let me hit Be Charming. What would both ends need to reach Alaska from Florida? Again, HF, probably 20 meters right now would be your best bet to get from Alaska to Florida. Right now, that might be stretching it, the way propagation's running, but yeah, HF would do it. Let me go up in the chat. GG. No, that is the Baofeng UV5R that I just showed you. Papa's got the what is that, Tommy? The 5RE model you had there?
Yes.
And I've got just the 5R, so that's what I showed you there.
And GG and Gary Bulldog, welcome, guys. Thanks for being here. Independent asked how tall of an antenna?
Let's see. Independent Marine, you want to get it up as high as you can get it, although a dipole for HF, I've run them as low as 15, 20 feet and had very good results.
Let's see.
And Cass, back to your question. Yeah, that may not be a bad price for the tri-power version. I don't know that I'd go a whole lot more than that, but yeah, that's about right.
Hey, Sean, good to see you, man. Glad you made it. It is going well. And I haven't forgot, you're on Hutch tonight at 9. Um,
Hmm.
okay, best base setup for the money, asks Big German Prepared.
Uh, Big German, are you looking brand new, or are you wanting to get into some used equipment, or what? What are you looking at there?
And yes, GG, those were ham radios.
Yes, yes, GG. That's amateur radio.
Hey, Hoot Owl Holler, good to see you. Hope you're still feeling better. SJ Mullen, good to see you.
Yeah, Jay, you as well.
Um, he hasn't said yet.
Uh, yeah, Big German just said used is okay.
Oh,
Um,
oh, there it is. I didn't even
look,
see it. I apologize.
yeah, yeah. Check around the Hamfest market if you have one near local, or you can look at eBay. Several good brands you can go with: Yaesu, Kenwood, ICOM. Tentec, which is made down in Tennessee, is going to be more expensive, but they make some high end stuff. I mean, they make some really top notch stuff. But you can pick up a used an older model Yaesu, like a Yaesu 757 HF rig for with a power supply with it for, I don't know, $300, a little $400 thereabouts. So yeah, uh, Yaesu, Kenwood, Nikon. Independent Marine, can it be jammed? Yes, it can. Not as prevalent. We used to have something years ago called the wooden, get it right eventually, the Russian woodpecker. That would get on the higher like 10 meters and that, and you just hear and would tear up guys miles around. But that's since faded away. If guys are jamming, then it's usually not intentional. It's somebody usually just trying to tune up their equipment or what have you. And, so it's generally not intentional. And let's see. And I'm missing questions here. Tiny Titan, you just threw up a question about suggestions on programming the Baofeng.
Yeah, I'm just going in order. This was way up above it. I was just trying to go in order.
Yeah, and I'm missing them. Some of
Yeah, I
them
know.
here.
I'm
I
trying, I
feel
don't want
bad.
you to think I'm ignoring you, but that's why I'm watching the chat so hard because we got a lot of questions coming in.
Best radio to use on foot in a group in the mountains. Baofeng had worked beautiful. Anything with the FRS, Family Radio Service, GMRS, any of them would do you just fine. Let me pull this link up here for programming
Okay.
the Baofeng from the keyboard, and Tommy will send that over to you in the private chat so you can put the link up.
Okay.
I've watched videos on YouTube how to program them, and by the time I'm over here looking at what I'm trying to do and watch the video at the same time, I was getting lost. So this gives you manually how to do it, and you can sit there and kind of go back and forth and see what you're doing.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
All right, Stephen Miller, do you need a license during an emergency? The straight up answer is yes. Although, if we go into a major, big time SHTF, we're going to nuclear war, or, one of those absolute all hell, may God have mercy on us all, then it's every man for himself. Don't worry about it. But the general answer there is yes. Yeah, Tiny Titan, look at that that I just gave. That link I had Papa just throw up a little bit ago on programming them from the keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
The all the sites will tell you to download what's called Chirp, which is an open source software program and get the cable. I did that and never had any luck with it, and so I just programmed it off the keypad.
Is there a way to bypass?
A independent marine way to bypass what the jammers or
I believe that's what he's talking about.
usually the best bet there is to just move the VFO, change frequency.
Oh, I missed one. How about satellite radio?
I'm not very good with them. I'm sorry to say. I don't know very much about them at all.
Okay.
I mean, the hams do play with satellites and stuff, and we did that at Field Day a few years ago.
Thank you, Big. Thank you, Big German. He definitely knows his stuff.
Thank you, Big German. I been around the hobby since '86, so I hope I know a little bit. Yeah, Tech Tarded. I think that's the new name I'm going to give.
I was just getting ready to throw that up here, man. I think that needs to be your name, Radioactive Prepper. And good to see you, Tech, man. I'm glad you're in here. Thanks for coming. Jim, hold on. Jim, can you explain grounding CB antennas and also SWR a little bit? Thanks.
Well, there's RF grounding and then there's electrical grounding. Electrical grounding we don't have a whole lot of. That's mostly for lightning strikes. Don't have a whole lot of that. SWR. Well, the antenna goes in half basically. You got the center and the outer part of the coax, if that makes sense. And it has to do with reflected power coming back from the antenna. And generally, you want no reflected power coming back from the antenna. You want it all going out the antenna. And that's what SWR has to do with. That's the best I can explain it. Don't know that I fully understand it myself, but that's the best I can do. All right, Carl Tigger.
If there's something that you don't know, I admire that you just say that instead of just rambling up something and give somebody on a wild goose chase. And a lot of people wouldn't admit that, and that's cool. You just say, "I don't know." Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, we're good now. On to Coral Tigger's question. Yeah, I've listened to shortwave too off and on through the years. Neat hobby. Again, with us being at the bottom of the solar cycle, propagation has been pitiful. We had a lot of good stations years ago. Voice of America, BBC. There was even one down in Ecuador that would come in a good bit. HCJB. HCJB I haven't heard in a lot of years. Do have some fairly strong American stations yet. One of them's down in Indiana yet. World Harvest Radio. I think Tommy, they're not far from you. I think they're just west of you a little bit. Big time 100 kilowatt stations, I think.
Huh.
A lot of Christian broadcasting. Some of them are just goofy. Some of them's all right. Ironically, we had one guy that was pretty active shortwave called himself Brother Stare, and it seemed like he was every other shortwave station you'd come across, you'd hear Brother Stare. Called himself the last day prophet of God, and he had been predicting the second coming of Christ and his own death for about the last 30 years. And he just died here a couple of months ago. And
hey, David Creason, thanks for joining us. And Sean, I have not got a chance to watch it yet, brother. From the time around 6 o'clock, 5:30 till about 6:30, I'm usually in between work and home, and trying to get stuff done. Ruben D, hello. Thanks for being here, brother. I appreciate it. And Hoot Owl Holler, what made you want to get into radios?
Let's see, that started for me back in 1980. My dad first put a CB in the car, and that led him to put one in the house. And I was only 10 or 11 back then, so hey, this is kind of cool. And going up into high school, I got sick of some of the mess from CB and people messing around and being stupid. So local radio club ran an ad in the paper saying, free radio class. So I took it and got my license and all that. And in high school, I was never popular with the girls, and I couldn't afford a hot rod car. So cheap ham radio equipment seemed like the logical next step. So
Nintendo done it for me. I feel you.
Let's see.
How much does a ham license? I think it's relatively cheap.
Yeah, to take the test is $15.
Now, is there a limit to how many times you can fail, or do you have to pay $15 every time?
It's each time you test. Now, if you go in, say for your technician, you pay the $15. If you want to keep going, and you pass all of them, and you walk out with your extra, you don't owe any more money. Okay. But if you go in and you fail, and you come back to test again, you have to pay another $15.
Okay.
Or if you go in to upgrade, it's another $15 until you hit extra, and then you're as high as you can go.
I noticed there's a lot of Christian shortwave stations, says Coral Tigger. The day might be coming to where it has to be. You know what I mean? Because you can kind of hide.
Coral Tigger, something else you can do too if you just picked up a shortwave receiver. Excuse me. Most of them have the medium wave, the AM broadcast band. After the sun goes down, local time for you, you can tune across that, and you'd be surprised what you can hear. Stations from all over the country. Where I am here in Michigan right now, I can hear WTAM out of Rochester, New York, WBZ out of Boston, and I've even heard KMOX out of St. Louis a couple of times.
Got a lot of good oldies channels too. Mm-hmm. Old radio programs and stuff. Let's see. There's somebody that said howdy here. Laura Cooper, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Says they're chilling behind enemy lines in Cali.
Let's see. Prepper 4. Books on learning about CBs. There's an old one I have, and it may be hard to come by. Was written back in probably 82 or 83. Big Tomcats something CB, just Big Tomcats CB book or something. If you search eBay for it, I don't think it's in publication anymore, but hunt around for it, Amazon or eBay, and you might be able to pick up a copy. Good stuff. The guy that wrote it used to be the editor of either CB Radio Magazine or S9 Magazine, which was a big CB and publications years ago.
Ideas on codes for communicating secretly on bands that are public?
The Q codes from the amateur radio service, QSL, things like that. Those are available online. That or learn Morse code. That'll trip up everybody all the time. And learning it is the hard part.
And you're proficient, right? Like you're proficient in Morse code. That's awesome. That is a awesome skill to have.
I'm solid to about 35 words a minute, and then it starts going downhill from there.
I couldn't do one, so you're about 29 up on me. Yeah, just on a good AM radio, Coral, you can hear the Nashville Opry out of
Yeah, WSM out of Nashville is a big, very popular station.
This is kind of off subject, but Walmart here is locking a lot of their merchandise behind glass: socks, underwear, work boots, baby formula, and diapers. I understand booze. Damn, try getting someone to open a case for socks. Man, this stuff's getting crazy, guys.
I think between the economy and they're putting all those self-serve islands in. I think people are ripping them off left and right.
Big German, I think that's probably safe to say. My understanding is you cannot hide. Is that fair to say? I mean, they're
Well,
going to.
with the amateur radio license, you do have to give an address on the form, but it can be a PO box. So you don't necessarily have to give them your physical location. And as far as them actually tracking you, they got bigger stuff to worry about than trying to hunt down everybody and anybody. Unless you're causing a major interference problem, then
Right.
might for you, but
Hey, Ugly Prepper, welcome. Good to see you, brother. We're having some radio talk here. I was going to ask you a question, and I forgot it as quick as I thought about it. Oh, what's the absolute, like? Okay, say you were on the waves illegally and you got busted. Like, what can they do to you? Just besides, like, can they take your radio? Is there a big fine they throw at you?
if they got so inclined, they could confiscate the equipment. They could give you a doozy fine. I've heard of them doing that. It doesn't happen very often, but they can. But you gotta really be messing up.
Good for you, Bulldog. That's an awesome thing.
And Gary Bulldog, learning it is the hard part. Get on the air and practice with it. And, if you can even find an inexpensive receiver that picks up the ham bands where you can listen to the hams actually using it, you'll start picking it up. And we have a club called the American Radio Relay League. They're based up in Newington, Connecticut. They run code practice 2 or 3 times a day. And you look up their website. It's awrl.org, and they list the times and the frequencies that they run the code practice. They do slow speed and fast speed. The slow speed, they start at 5 words a minute and go up to 15, I think. The high speed stuff, they start at typically 35 words a minute and work down to 15. And they'll list the frequencies, and you can go looking for them and start listening and pick it up that way.
Hello, Zane, Klingon Princess. Thanks for joining us, ladies. Good to see you. And if things get really bad, use a pen and paper and do whatever it takes to get the message from point A to B. Absolutely, go back to the Pony Express type, You can probably look up 10 codes for CBs online, but please be courteous on the CB. Don't talk over people. Hey, Rev, good to see you, brother. Thanks for being here, man. Trying to catch back up here, guys. Got beefed up CB from when I ran the road. Nobody can talk over me.
Well, we're in a big enough amplifier, and yeah, that's about it.
Well, we're all caught up on questions, I believe. If there's anybody that I missed, please just resubmit it if you would, and maybe put it in bold letters. I'm still trying for my tech license, waiting to find a proctor for it. I won the Bayo Fang from Gray Man's channel. That's awesome. Congratulations. Yeah,
Cat Lady, great to see you.
here she is. Thanks for being here, Cat Lady. She says, wanted to jump on to show the love and say hello, Jim S., my dear friend Papa, and everyone here. Hugs to all. Well, got to finish the work here. Talk to you later. All hugs and love for y'all. We love you too, Cat Lady. Try to get some rest and slow down a little bit. Hey, Gray Man, good to see you, brother. Just heard you gave somebody a bail fang. Widgets World, good to see you guys. Yeah, I am all caught up. Whoop. Is there an internet course that you can suggest, Jim?
Best I can tell you is look around YouTube. I suspect there are some guys that put out some material on, say, the technician and the general class stuff. I haven't seen any. K0MRD radio prepper tried there for a little while, and I think he had some issues come up, and he had to back off. But he was trying there for a little bit. But yeah, search YouTube, and I'm sure there's probably multiples, and you can find one that suits you.
Now, is there any internet sites that you would suggest to actually get the license, like the test and all of that? Or
again, you go to arrl.org and search around. Let me actually get them so I can put them in the chat for testing sessions, clubs, etc.
Okay.
That way, Zane Ham Radio 2.0. I have heard of them. I don't know how good they are. Canadian Prepper did a series on something too, and I thought it was geared toward the prepping community. Ham Radio Preps or something to that effect.
Oh, well, thank you, Liz. Bless your heart. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Did Jim see my comment about my address? Oh, probably not because I didn't hoot. Let me go back up here and look. Hoot out holler. I'd give them my burial plot number as an address. That's pretty good. That's
right,
pretty
Tommy,
good.
Just put you a link over in the private chat that you can give in a regular chat. I haven't figured that part out yet, but that will link everybody to finding a local club and finding a testing session and what have you near you. All you got to do is, search the drop down boxes and that'll. Flow grown. I had thought of that, and yeah, given as soon as I nail a couple of projects here out of the way, that may not be a bad idea. I don't know if I'm articulate enough to do all that, but yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
I think you would do great, man. And names, I agree. I think Noah would be a good name for Cat Lady. Absolutely.
Independent Marine. I grew up in Southern Illinois, a city called Belleville, right east of St. Louis. But right now I'm in Battle Creek, Michigan.
Well, looks like we're all cut up on questions. If there's anything you want to just kind of throw out there or talk about, or I mean, you don't have to talk completely about radios. I mean, it's just I know that's your expertise, and I was pretty excited to try to help everybody learn. There we go. How different is talking on CB than talking on ham radio?
I have found amateur radio to be a little more technical, a little more professional. The hams still like to cut up, have fun, mess with one another and everything. But with CBN, how should I say, it gets a little raunchier, a little more. How do I put this without getting Tommy a strike? A little more lascivious in nature on the CB bands, if that makes sense. Where the hams, they tend to behave a little more. So.
Hey, Jerry Robbins, Blue Ridge Mountains checking in. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Beautiful country.
Prepared for.
We're seeing them at the exact same time.
Do I recommend an SWR meter running a CB base station? Yes, I do. That way you can, if there's problems with the antenna system, you pick it up right there on the spot and you know you've got a problem.
Hey, Six Shooter. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for being here, man. Jim S., my neighbor to the west, about 90 minutes.
Yeah, Angie's right here in Michigan, as is Cass.
Yep.
Cass is just up off Interstate 69 up here somewhere, if I remember right.
CB people are saying whatever comes to mind.
Yeah, a lot of times the profanity and the sexual content and everything just pretty much no holds barred.
Just throwing that up there in case I didn't know what SWR was. I was going to look it up later.
Ugly proper, thank you. Yeah, that's what it means. Finding a technical definition for it is something off the top of my head, though.
Some think World War III may break out within the next day or so. I have seen a lot of people saying that people they have on the inside, like military and stuff, look for it to be a very good possibility by next week. So we'll see. Second Amendment. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And love the name. John Doe, good to see you. He says, I grew up hearing stories about my pops playing with the hams with his friends. They definitely had a lot more fun back then, it seems. Absolutely.
Yeah, we do have a good time.
Well, thank you, Gray Man. I appreciate that, brother. You didn't have to do that, man.
Klingon Princess, yeah, truckers still use it a good amount. Some of the newer trucks don't have them in there, but a lot of the older guys swear by them because the truckers will talk to each other going up and down the interstate looking for, if there's road construction up ahead, if there's a crash, if there's police, what the way stations are doing, if there's somebody broke down, whatever, they talk to each other pretty regular. And that's the beautiful thing. One thing I got to give to CBN over amateur radio, put one in the vehicle and you can listen to them as you're going up and down the road. Oh, Rev, getting started in the comms. Let me hit Be Charming here first real quick. I can knock her out real fast here. Her grandfather was into radios. Used to love building them, listening to Gunsmoke on the radio. There's still a lot of guys that love to build their own equipment. Just a personal pride type thing. It's almost like homemaking your own food or something, or building your own house. There's a pride element to building your own equipment. All right, where to start with zero communication stuff? Uh, Looking at the ARRL website, arrl.org, stuff on YouTube like this here, finding a local radio club next to you. A lot of them like to get together both informally and formally. A lot of them will have regular meetings where, granted, the business meeting can get kind of boring where they're dealing with club business and all that mess, but in the amateur radio service, we like to get together, breakfast, lunch. I know the Battle Creek Club here gets together a couple of times a month just to BS and hang out with one another and swap stories and all that, and get together with some of the local hams, and they can really feed you a lot of good information. That'd probably be the best place to start.
Hey, good to see you, Mojo Man. Thanks for being here. In Wisconsin, we all ran respectable CB channels.
Gigi, you'll find that you'll find some really good CB operators that will try to keep the standards still pretty high. And when somebody gets clowning around and acting stupid, a lot of times the respectable I'll get it out. The respectable operators will get after them and say, "Hey, clean it up."
Hey, Roaming Prepper, good to see you. We are doing well, sir. I hope you're the same. Says, I'm here for a little bit, then gotta go. I understand, man. CB handhelds to start then ham at Rev, said Ugly Prepper. Um, howdy,
Roaming
Jim.
Prepper, good to see you as well. Yeah, Beach Charming price of tubes is really going through the roof right now. They're getting harder to find, and they're getting expensive.
Hey, Hillbilly Homesteader, good to see you. We're just having some radio talk here. Anybody that's joined us recently, this is Jim S. He's very knowledgeable in the ways of CB, ham radios, shortwave, everything. If you have any questions at all, he's here to answer and help as much as he can, making sure everybody has some way of communications.
Be Charming, you raise a good question about they still work, but what if they quit? There still a lot of sharp people out there that still like working on them. The advantage over the tube equipment, over the modern stuff, is they're typically, you know, big and you can get your paws down in there to work on them. And where the newer stuff is just so itty bitty tiny, the Baofeng craps out, you pitch it and buy another one. Where the old stuff, you could actually work on it.
Is there a CB or is there a radio that has both CB and ham in the same unit?
Yes.
I didn't know that. That would be cool to have. Baofeng versus Midland versus other as far as brand. Some of the AARES folks here told me that the Baofeng software is very intrusive on the computer.
That I don't know about. Midland, I'm only familiar with using CB equipment. I don't know them. I think they played with some amateur radio stuff back in the day, but not a whole lot. Baofeng is certainly the most popular, at least among the handheld. You may also want to look at Yaesu, Yaesu. Yaesu makes some good, reputable brand. Kenwood makes handhelds, as does ICOM, ICOM.
Back to this one. Do you know a brand that makes that? The CB and Hammond one? Or is
Um,
it something we'd have to look up? Or
check for a site called Copper Electronics. They're based in Louisville, Kentucky,
okay,
and they have a lot of 10-meter amateur rigs that can be converted to both amateur and CB.
it's close to me. Hello, Gardner Josh. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. Tennessee Tactical One. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Roaming Prepper, Yaesu, Kenwood. The third one is ICOM, ICOM. All three good, reputable brands. You'll find hams that are partial to one or the other, just like there are people that are partial to Chevy, Dodge, Ford, whatever. You'll find guys that are partial to one brand or the other. The other one is Tentec, Tentec. I don't think they make any of the handhelds though. They make mostly HF stuff. And yeah, Beach Arming Tentec is an American company. They're based in Sevierville, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. Yeah, John Doe, the solar charger and the USB, good thing if power ever goes down.
Where can I find an FRS or a GMRS echo repeater for setting up a crude system to work around hills? So appreciate you guys. Well, the Indexed Preppers, you are very, very welcome, and thank you for being here. And thank you for the kind words.
I think it's a good question. I never have looked into setting up a repeater, but I'm given to understand that a lot of the newer rigs make it real easy. There may be some in your area. Just do a search for GMRS repeaters. I know there's a repeater directory online. There may be one local to you, and just input the frequencies in, then from there. And ugly prepper, you're correct. There are no repeaters on FRS. It's strictly a simplex service.
Just okay. Hold on a second. Change topic. Just got a notice from the State Department mailing list. IDF just rolled into Gaza with ground forces. Not good. That is not good. Thank you, Roaming Prepper. I might be doing another live tonight.
All right, Tennessee Tactical asks, will I have to buy or build a Faraday cage for my comms? They make them that you can buy. They're typically not very big. I think they're big enough to be able to hold your handheld or something. Like your Baofeng. You'll only need that if we have an EMP. But if we get to that point, I think we're all going to have bigger problems. And personal opinion, and there are those that are going to disagree with me on this. The odds of an EMP, I personally think, are pretty slim. If it happens, I think it'll be something from the sun and not necessarily an act of war. I know everybody worries about the Koreans or the Russians or what have you. If it comes from an act of war, I worry more about a radical Muslim country that thinks they're going to get brownie points with Allah by creating jihad against the Americans or something. That personal opinion. But I think it would be more likely to be a solar event. And even then, I given the current solar conditions, I find it to be very unlikely. Not to say it won't happen, but Tech-Hearted, they do have FRS handhelds. Down at Walmart, the handhelds are typically pretty cheap. You know, you buy a pair of them for 25 or 30 bucks. You know, they're pretty cheap. Um, okay, next question. Gigi, what is a Faraday cage? Well, what that is, I've seen it normally as like a pouch. Think of it as a big envelope. The way I've seen them, and they will protect the radio equipment from an EMP.
And like Jim, or sorry, Jim, but like the ugly
Go right
pepper
ahead.
thing. Well, no, you guys were talking about Faraday, and I didn't know if you've seen that, but Ugly Pepper's right. The old microwaves, those can be used as a Faraday cage with a very, very slim chance of it not working. I've been reading up on that. Now, granted, I don't know who's going to want to get into the habit of putting all their electronics in the microwave, but that will work. It's not, it can be penetrated, but not likely, is what I've read. So just throwing that out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's about it. I found them to be pretty unlikely. Oddly enough, many speculate that the older tube equipment will survive an EMP. But the problem with that, if we go to something like that, I worry that our grid will go down, and tube equipment is very energy thirsty. They
Right.
take a lot of power. Where something like the Bayo thing would be something far more efficient. We'll run off battery power, recharge your batteries off solar or off the car battery or something, and you'd be back in business.
Raptor ranting with Bob Ross, having wine and getting smarter with you guys.
My
Yeah,
grandpa got me watching Bob Ross back in the '90s. Good man.
yeah, I love watching him. Love it. Whoop, where did that go? Yeah, Tennessee Tactical. From what I've read, it is the newer models may or may not work, but like the older, earlier, not like ancient, the 50s or 60s, whenever they came out, but just the ones with age on them when they still made them to last a long time. I didn't really get a year, but that's something I could look into. But yeah, the general consensus is that an old microwave will do very well as a Faraday cage. Um, and Independent Marine, I believe so. I think. Don't take that as gospel, but I think they can. EMP is very likely because why would you want to destroy natural resources with nuclear weapons? That is true.
Well, while I understand your point, I've never really feared war with, say, the Russians or even the Chinese for that. I think they know good enough that it would be mutual annihilation to do something like that. But you pick up some of the rogue nations that simply don't care, that think they'd get their 72 virgins or something by, say, a 9/11 event or something again. Them are the ones that make me worry.
Hey, we the people prepping. Good to see you. I didn't see you come in. And he said you can make a cage from a metal trash can. Absolutely. I wouldn't see why not. Um, let's see.
Colonel Tigger, I think an EMP is more likely after they saw what the gas attack did. I would be more concerned of a hacker going after the power grid and all of a sudden nobody has electricity anymore. That Although doing the EMP route may be another way. But I think hacking the grid would be the simpler solution.
And I agree, Mames. Extremists of any flavor scare me, no matter where they're from. NOAA has said we're in for increased solar flares this year that could disrupt electronics. They have been warning about that. I seriously think wars should be fought by the government, be it dual, fight, or whatever. I agree.
By the way, fair warning, I've been having computer issues all day here, so if the thing overheats and shuts down, if I drop out all of a sudden, that may be what happened.
Okay. Whoops. A Faraday cage is based on the
Gaussian principle.
Gaussian principle. Thank you, Jim. A hollow object, typically hit with an electrical charge, will see the charge go to the surface of the sphere. Excuse me, guys. Can you see Putin slapping Uncle Joe?
Mm-hmm.
See Putin and Biden in the boxing ring.
I like that idea.
If SHTF, I hope it's this weekend. Only way I would be bugging out with the family like I like. LOL. Amen, independent. As long as I got ammo or arrows, they're going to be in for a bad time. Hey, B&B, good to see you guys.
One thing I have to give to 45, the ugly prepper just kind of hit on it there a little bit. Putin and T-Man, I don't think Putin wanted any part of him. I think that's why they got along.
Yeah. The roaming Klingon princess asked the roaming prepper, would the ideal Faraday cage be spherical then? I don't think it has to be. I mean,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think it could be anything.
oh, Putin would take Joe out easily. So I wonder, you know, I think, well, I ain't going to get into that. Started down a rabbit hole.
Well, come on, Tommy. We got time here. Things have slowed up a little bit. We can go down rabbit holes.
Well, like the gas shortage, it's just amazing. It was hacked and shut down and back up within a week. You know, like it, wasn't planned. So, they're considering that the power grid very soon, and I'm wondering, like, what kind of time frame we're looking at because there's no doubt in my mind that the gas shortage, just like everything else, was inside.
I'm sure it was.
So I'm wondering how much time we got before they do actually go for the power grid.
I've seen some suggest that even 9/11 was an inside job.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's precisely why these conversations are necessary.
Very true. That's a good question. Roaming Prepper, are you still in here? What makes it a Faraday cage? I don't think he's. I don't know if he's still in here or not. You're absolutely right, Mama. Hack our internet, hack our gas, the power grid. I'm sure they will not stop.
I think Widget's World just hit on the what makes it a Faraday cage to
Oh, all
prevent
seams,
the EMP from coming through.
all seams just have to be secure and metal on metal to prevent the EMP from coming in through. Excuse me. People in fear are easier for government to control. You're absolutely right, we the people. Yeah, Tennessee. That's I'm most positive. That's where they'll hit next. I'm just wondering how much time we have. Orville said they did pay a $5 million ransom. I didn't know they paid the ransom. Yes, be charming. A safe would work. Absolutely.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a hack. Look at what happened in Texas a couple of months ago. That or even another hurricane. My late wife's folks live in central Mississippi, 100 miles from the coast, 100 miles inland. And when Katrina hit in what was that, 05, 06, they were out of electric 10 days, and they were 100 miles from the coast.
Right. All right, Don. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all you do, and be safe out there.
Widgets World, you're right. During the hottest months, the heat would affect everyone. Katrina hit. What was that in August?
Yeah, it was
My
in the summer. It was hot.
uh, fortunate, my in-laws down there got a generator through FEMA. One of the times they actually did something right and managed to run some fans off the generator. Otherwise, they'd have been in a sweltering house in the Mississippi summertime with the humidity and the heat and all that kind of mess.
I, for one, get very grouchy when I get hot. I
Yeah.
hate being hot. Now, if I'm outside working, whatever, I'm fine. But if I'm just sitting around in the house trying to relax and I'm sweating and just, oh, bad mood.
Yeah,
Bad
can't
mood.
can't sleep or do much anything else. And if you got no fans or anything to circulate the air,
Yeah.
I mean, I can always warm up, put an extra blanket on the bed,
Oh,
or
absolutely.
get out the extra long underwear or something. You do all right, but just can't get cool in the summertime like that.
You're absolutely right, Tennessee. We absolutely no clue. Tiny Titan said, I understand that barbed wire works on the outside of a trash can for a Faraday cage. I had not heard that, but I don't know if it would work or not.
Nor had I.
You know, I said that exact same thing, Gary, when they was requesting the ransom. I said, of course we're not going to pay it. We're a non-negotiating nation. We don't negotiate with terrorists. But there they go. They paid them $5 million. Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. Angie G said, well, where'd it go? There it is. So glad to catch you live. Thank you so much for all you do. I have stepped up my prepping because of you. Well, bless your heart, Angie. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're here live as well. I really appreciate doing well in your preps. Definitely make sure you have batteries and battery powered fans. Get the neck fan from Amazon, super cheap, and love mine. And don't forget, I will be giving away that little um, mini solar station that's got the lights and USB plug and everything on it, and it's a really good little deal. I'm going to be giving it away closer to my birthday, just so we can kind of have fun with it. Yeah, Tennessee August is hot up here too, man. Whew. We made the mistake of going to Florida one year in August. Never again. No, August was cooler. I think that was just a fluke because once we went in June, the other one went in August, and June was a lot hotter. But I think, like I said, it was just a fluke. Okay, Gardner Josh says it's a private company. The company paid, not the government. Got you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you for clearing that up. Okay, we the people said the same thing. Thank you, guys. I didn't know. I apologize. Thank you, CC. Appreciate it. Um, and yeah, I forgot. Orville asked up here, so a pressure canner would be a Faraday cage. And I would believe so.
I think that would work.
Since they paid the ransom, it opens the door for all other attacks, almost gives them permission. That is true. But like they said, that was a private business, so I mean the ransom might not be guaranteed because we're not supposed to negotiate with terrorists, but you know.
Be charming. I can't say we wouldn't have any advance notice of an EMP, but it would be very short of it, be it from an active war or from a solar event.
Yeah, that's
Oh, I'm sorry, Tommy. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say that to me is why like an EMP is one of the most um not scariest, but like there's no forewarning, there's no nothing, just bam, it's there, you know. So that's why, like, even with a Faraday cage, being able to have everything, you know, locked and secured, it's like it's going to almost have to always be in there because
I,
they're
I think there are guys who take and put extra equipment, buy extra equipment just to put in the Faraday cage,
right. I
just
mean,
in case that ever happens. Have their regular communication stuff, but then have this other stuff on standby just for events like that.
I'm yeah, I'm glad he's in here too, Tennessee. Thank you, Roman, for answering some of this stuff as well. Papa Prepper, there are currently no IDF ground troops inside the Gaza Strip. IDF air and ground forces are carrying out strikes on target in the Gaza Strip.
Something Flogrown Homesteader just said about prepping, stop being spoon fed. If we go at SHTF, you won't have those comforts. In the amateur radio service, we have a big event, and one's actually coming up at the end of June this year, and it's June every year. We call it Field Day, and the purpose of it is operating under adverse conditions. Clubs will get together, meet up out at a park, and throw up some makeshift antennas and bring out the generators, what have you, and get on the air and try to work as many other stations nationwide as they can. I had a funny situation with my local radio club back in Illinois. Oh, probably a little more than 10 years ago. There had been an ice storm go across southern Missouri into Kentucky. Power went out for everybody in several Kentucky counties. Everybody went out. Police stations, firehouses, hospitals, everybody was in the dark. Well, the clubs like to bring out their gas powered generators for all this. So I told the guys in the club, look, we need to operate the equipment off of deep cycle marine batteries. I said, if something like that were to happen around here, say the New Madrid quake decides to hit, or Tommy, you're along the Wabash, sure, there's a fault runs up along the Wabash, sure. Something like that happens, we may not have access to gasoline. Something like that, big time hits like that, I can see the government coming along and commandeering every drop of gasoline we got. So let's put the equipment on the batteries and run them that way. And they bought it, and that's what we did, and we've been running that way ever since.
Here's your question.
Moonraker's a decent antenna for CBN. Yeah, the Moonraker. I ran an Antron 99 and an IMAX 2000 for a long time. Had good results out of both of them. Right now, where I'm at, I've got that little tram balcony antenna just out here on a piece of conduit. Does pretty decent too for what it is.
Hey, Ark Wild Survival, good to see you. Thanks for being here, Big Bear Preps. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Rev says they ain't commandeering nothing over here.
Rev, I'm thinking they'd hit more of the filling stations and that and say, look, we're taking your gas. I don't think they'd have enough time to hit every individual like that, but I could see the military hitting the filling stations if it got that bad. Fuel for the generators, the police cars, the fire trucks, and everything.
Got my mag here and everyone is listening. That's awesome, Raptor Ranch. I appreciate you being here. On a good skip night, I can talk over to the UK.
Yeah. Done that myself. I got into Belgium one time running 5 watts on the 10 meter amateur band. Didn't think he'd hear me, but I threw out my ham radio call sign, put QRP behind it, which is low power, and he answered me. And we had a nice little conversation like that. Laura, Optima, no, I don't think they're bad. I've just never used one. Let's see what's this one I've got down here for my equipment is Everstart. Got it at Walmart.
Don't we all?
Keep the power consumption down, and I've had them last for days, literally.
I'm starting to regret the Baofeng. I wish I'd went with a CB now. Can't afford both.
Give it time, Tommy. The handheld CBs aren't real expensive either. Pick up one of them for $50, $100. Klingon Princess, yes. Some of them still do by snail mail, and a lot of that's gone online, of course, with the internet. But yeah. And some guys are so big into that they try to collect them from all 50 states. There are awards for confirming talking to all 50 states. DXCC, which is 100 confirmed countries. There are even some that get so ambitious to work all 3,000 American counties.
I cannot. I don't know about Jim, but there might be somebody in here that can. I don't know a thing about telescopes. Gardner Josh said Hubble. Oh, yeah.
Raptor Ranch, I do Morse code pretty good, but I'm not old school enough to go smoke signals yet.
And the reason I laughed because the first thing I thought was the great big Hubble telescope. I don't know if that's what he was talking about or not, but that's why I laughed. Absolutely, Tiny Titan. Said, wish I had listened to my grandparents more on the Depression years. Could have learned so much. I use several different power sources for emergency generators, solar, and deep cycle RV batteries. Wow, is this to you? I'm a brighter. I can identify. I'm not sure what that means. Birder,
I think she was answering Rev on
the pigeons.
pigeon.
Okay. Telescope recommend a Celestron. My spelling may be wrong. There you go, Laura. There's you another one. And thank you, B&B. Appreciate it. And Klingon Princess says Zeiss makes great optics. Mames, I think you've been reincarnated from the Depression era. All the stuff you know how to do. I'll have Mames on here as my guest one night. She can teach us about all kinds of stuff as well. Papa, you can find a decent base CB sometimes at pawn shops, cheap. Cool, thank you,
And
we the people. I'm surprised there's still pawn shops around, to be honest with you.
oh, excuse me for just a moment, y'all. I gotta take a quick walk here.
A lot to take in. Absolutely, Laura. That's all I have is binoculars. Well, I have a rangefinder too, but I have no idea, Josh. I found an older Galaxy base CB at local pawn shop for $40. That would be cool. I have opera classes. Do they count? I guess I could.
All
Well,
right,
I'm
that's
glad
better.
you had fun, Raptor Ranch. Thank you for being here, and we love you too. Be safe. I mean, if you're leaving. Welcome back, sir.
Older Galaxy for $40. That's a good price. Big
Yeah.
Bear, yeah, yard sales are great like that too. You
Yeah.
get lucky sometimes. I've found equipment at yard sales too. Especially you get one where the person selling doesn't know what they have. You can get them on the cheap like that.
All right, Raptor. Sorry, my bad. I just thought you might have been leaving. Roaming Prepper, you got a boogie. Y'all be safe and blessed. Godspeed if you're traveling. Well, thank you for being here, Roaming Prepper, and thank you for answering some of the questions. And I really appreciate that. And be safe as well, and God bless. Yeah, I've got a few scopes. I mean, that's pretty close to a telescope, I suppose. About the closest I've got. My dad was 94 when he passed 3 years ago. He never talked about the war.
I don't think those were good times. I had an uncle that was over there, and he'd talk a little bit about it, but not much.
Yeah. Anybody got any more questions for Jim? Don't forget to stock up on bear spray for the urban animals. Absolutely.
Independent Marine, yeah, for some equipment, 90 is not a bad deal.
There's got to be more questions. Well, thank you, Liz. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Liz, thank you. President Line, good equipment. Them and Uniden are pretty well synonymous with one another. You have one, you have the other, and say the Washingtons and a lot of their mobiles are some of the mainstays, the backbones of the hobby.
This brought back memories with my late brother-in-law using his ham radio. I wish I had learned more about it. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, not that you didn't learn more then, but that it brought back. I hope they're good memories. Hey, Outlaw Prepper, good to see you. If you got any communications questions, Jim's here to help us out with anything from ham radios to CBs, stuff like that, antennas, um, and everything in between. So if you got any questions, just let us know. Um, I went to Bastion in Belgium, where my grandfather fought, still have foxholes in the woods and tanks on the side of the roads. Wow. That would be awesome to see. It's great info because I know nothing about this stuff. Says the American or True American Loretta. I'll get it out in a minute.
Klingon Princess
You see that?
had a question as to how do you find somebody to talk to. On the lower bands, you just find a clear spot and start calling CQ. That just means you're looking for somebody to talk to. And sometimes you'll get answers. Sometimes you'll sit there and just call CQ and you won't get anything. For the 2 meter stuff, say the local stuff, just find a local group of people talking, throw your ham call in there, and join the conversation. Better but cheap home-based antenna. Just got a whip on a pole now. That won't work bad for you. Let me think. I think there's one called a Patriot right now that's half wave, and I think they run $60-$70. From there, you move up to the Antron 99, and I think you're going to pay a little over $100 for one of them brand new, which still isn't bad. But that will outperform the whip that you have now too.
I don't mean to sound so hardcore about things, but y'all are my brothers and sisters, and I want to see every one of you on the other side of the upcoming storm. I don't think you're being hardcore at all, full grown. I think you're absolutely right, man. Everybody needs to make sure they're staying on top of their prep game. And, you know, there are going to be things that we just aren't going to be able to have, period. But we need to make sure we have the things that we need to have. So absolutely, you're not sounding hardcore. Don't even give that a second thought.
See, Outlaw Prepper, I did know a guy back in my hometown called himself Frankenstein, but I haven't heard him on the air in a lot of years.
Jim, that first link that you sent me in the private message, is that where you go to find the comm groups in your area?
Let me go back over and check it.
Rev's
the first one I gave you was for the Baofangs.
Oh, okay.
The second one's for licensing and education. Let me bring up the Find a Club.
Okay, thank you. We'll hook you up here in a minute, Rev.
There's one specific for on computer.
And absolutely, yes, Klingon. To Flowgrown, the feeling's mutual. All of us. I mean, I want to see every one of you guys, which that might be a long time if, stuff goes down, but we'll find some way.
All right, Tommy, there it is in private chat, the link to find in the local club.
All right. Here you go, Rev. I'm going to post this for you. This is to, actually, I'll just... Y'all, my typing sucks. I'm very slow. So, just bear with me.
Outlaw Prepper, no, this was not in Iowa. This was in Southern Illinois. The Frankenstein I knew was in Southern Illinois.
Well, crap. I was putting that in the wrong thing. There we go.
And that is a searchable database, so you can find one. They got them listed for all 50 states. We the people, what part of southeastern Illinois? I grew up over in Belleville, towards St. Louis.
No, Papa, you're not far from me, so I could find you after SHTF. You're welcome, Rev. Yeah, I've not met, but I've found a couple of you. Huh?
We the Preppers, an Illinois boy too, like I am. Home of the White Squirrel.
B&B, Mr. B relates to you, Papa Prepper, regarding the typing. I'm so slow. It's awful. That's why I don't talk like in other live streams and people's chats, because By the time I get a message typed up, the chat's already went through 50 or 60 comments. You're absolutely right, City on a Hill. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I like that name. Anybody that's maybe come in late or only been here for a few minutes, we've got about 20 more minutes. If anybody's got questions for Jim regarding any kind of handheld radios, antennas, CBs, anything like that, my handle is Demon Demon.
Interesting handle.
Hey, Stars Prepper, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Gentleman Jim was my CB handle. Still is.
Back had to toss my bug out bags into the car for my vacation I'm going on tomorrow. Be safe, Coral. People get ready. Jesus is coming. Soon we'll be going home. Amen. Lance Kelly, I appreciate you listening. Thanks for being here. Mrs. Papa Prepper's name was Dimples when she talked on the CB. Ugly Preppers was Catfish. Orville's grandpa's handle was Burger King. He liked it his way. I like that. That's pretty clever. Prepped 4 says, I just want to say how great this has been. Comms is one of the most difficult things to get into for those with no knowledge, and Jim's advice has been so helpful. Absolutely. I definitely appreciate you being here, sir. You have been a big help to a lot of people. Absolutely, Coral. It's always better safe than sorry. Mame's name was Gray Lady. Tiny Titan was Bobcat. Liz said,
thank you. Joe Morgan, glad I could help.
I drive my bug out vehicle anytime I'm more than 3 to 5 miles from home. Absolutely.
I think hit it, Tommy. We may have to do another one of these days.
Absolutely, anytime. Now when I need a handle, I use Yarnivore. That's cute.
Thought just hit me, by the way, y'all. Any of you is into shortwave listening, give a search for a podcast called World of Radio, hosted by a man named Glenn Hauser. He's down in Enid, Oklahoma. Puts out a lot of really good information on shortwave listening. Stuff he's hearing and reports he gets from other listeners worldwide of all the shortwave stuff going on. Very, very smart man. Glenn Hauser, Hauser.
End of day preppers. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. So I've got my, how did you say that?
Yaesu
FT60 right next to me, monitoring 146.520.
The national simplex calling frequency. Yep.
And what is that, Jim?
That's 2 meter amateur, 2 meter handband.
No, I mean what he's monitoring.
That is the 146.520 is sort of the national simplex frequency. If you're going to listen to a direct frequency instead of a repeater, 146.52 is where you want to be. That's sort of where everybody would congregate, and then once you make your contact, move off someplace else so you don't tie up the main channel.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you, Tennessee. I appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Joe Morgan, thank you. Yeah, Joe, like an emergency or the main channel where everybody would congregate, and then you're technically supposed to kind of go elsewhere so you don't tear up everybody else. But I don't think the traffic there is necessarily that busy. Ugly Pepper, yeah, you're correct. It's talking direct to one another instead of a repeater. Zana, you could just shorten that down to hot flash. That'd make an interesting CB handle.
I think I'll make my handle redhead with hot flashes. Yeah, just hot flash. That'd be a good one. So anybody got any more questions? Like we just discussed, I'll be more than happy to have him back. If he would want to do like a show, just strictly on like ham radios, how to program them and stuff like that, or this is for you.
Any amps or kickers? No, I've always been a lower power guy. A lot of the amps I've seen can splatter and cause interference. I've always stuck with just running as little as I could get away with.
Which one of the links was it? Oh, never mind. It's right here. Tiny Titan. I'm gonna post this link again, and this will have it help you in any way about a license.
Yeah, Tiny Titan. It's not hard at all. The entry level technician license isn't bad at all.
I bet it does, Marine. You're right on that creek, and it's awfully cold at night here in the last few days. You're welcome, Tiny Titan.
Klingon Princess, the same name as in the same handle. Yeah, there are several. Like Ugly Prepper just said he called himself Catfish. I had one back in my hometown called himself Catfish years ago. He's been passed away for close to 30 years now, I guess. But yeah, there are several.
Hey, James Edwards, good to see you. We're just having some radio conversation. If you got any questions about handheld radios, anything like that, Jim's here to help us. He's very knowledgeable and has helped a lot of us this evening. I just want to be cheap, girl. So how many hours do you think you spend on the radio? Just talking to people and passing time?
Oh, hour or two a day at least. We got the local club here, and they have a net that runs at 11:30 in the morning local time. Call it before the BLB, the before lunch bunch. And then there are other nets on other local repeaters, and I haven't checked into as many of them as I would like, but I need to get after that, I guess.
Now, what exactly is a repeater?
It is a big station set off somewhere where
They just kind of loop.
mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
It it listens for stations on one frequency, amplifies their signal, and outputs it on another frequency. So it's sort of a remote amplifier, as it were.
That's cool. End of Days handles Rubber Duck. Convoy up, y'all. Absolutely. That's an awesome name. Awesome movie and awesome song. Tech, yes. I haven't announced, but absolutely, brother. Now, Klingon on Ham, you have an assigned number from the FCC that you broadcast. That's good to know.
Correct. You do have a call sign in the amateur radio service that is unique to you.
Yep, we're still here, Raptor Ranch. Sorry.
And, we're fine. But and you're required to identify at least every 10 minutes at the end of a conversation.
Was an ambulance. We need to get on the ham radio wagon. I need people to talk to during the day. I get bored and like to talk. We've all three got them here. I just don't know how to set them all up and everything, and definitely need to look at getting a license first.
And Cass, I have to say, you being a woman, you would be real popular. It is largely a male-dominated hobby, and to hear a woman on the bands, you'd be real popular. And I'm not being facetious about that. That is honest truth. Klingon Princess, there is a rule book for the CB service, but and the FCC used to enforce that back in the day, back in the 60s and the 70s. They'd hammer pretty hard, fines and all that. But since I've been in it, the FCC has gotten pretty useless with that sort of thing.
Good night, Son A. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. And yeah, there will definitely be a follow up.
A lot of good CB operators these days, but there's also a lot of garbage out there too. A lot of nasty stuff on the CB.
Oh yeah. Maybe, Coral. I do not have any podcasts. End of days. End of days. Something I haven't even got into.
Coral Tigger thinks you started a trend, and Coral may be right. Yeah, B&B, there are literally amateur radio clubs all over the country, and most of them listed on the ARRL site will have a contact information, a representative from the club that you can get a hold of. So there you go.
Can't remember when Papa's meetup is and what other channels will be there. It's the 15th, 16th, and 17th of October is what we're shooting for. And as far as other channels being there, I think Six Shooter and Rev are going to be there possibly. I know Tectarded Prepper is going to be there. Cat Lady will be there. I've got a list somewhere of the people that said they will definitely be there. It's not a lot. Not a lot of people so far. It was the dark of the moon on the 6th of June with a Kenworthy hauling logs, cab over Pete with a reefer and on and Jimmy hauling hogs. I love that song. At Jim S. I have a funny story about a reel-to-reel recorder, two-driven amp, and a Yamaha FM synthesizer. When I play a few notes on some of the voices, I pick up what sounds like Chinese broadcast.
That would not surprise me.
Uh-oh. Rev says, yep, he's coming. Hey, Five, good to see you. I'm not sure if the plumbers were going or not, Coral. They never definitely said yes or no. End of Days Prepper says October 15th is my birthday. Well, we are having a little get together in, I'm not sure where you're at, but we'll be in Bassett, Virginia. If you're interested. Does Jim have a YouTube? Yes, he does have a YouTube channel. If there's any moderators still in here, can one of you guys throw it up for me, please? Jim's channel. If not, I can go get it real quick. I think Mames is still in here. Klingon's in here. Thank you, Mames. I appreciate it. We'll have his channel up in just a minute, B&B. Five says, my kidney beans are at least 15 inches. Wow, that's good. Hey, Five, do you have any radio, CB, any type questions for Jim here? We're getting ready to close up shop. Actually, there's We the People Prepping. He's in here. He's pretty knowledgeable as well, and a couple others.
Rev, thank you.
Thank you, Rev. Appreciate that. I'm in Colorado, so Virginia is a hike. Oh, wow. Absolutely. I see a lot of familiar names in here that I never see on my channel. LOL. Uh-oh. We the People's got a good channel too. If you could throw that up, I would appreciate it. See you later, Coral. Be safe and have fun on your vacation. Be praying for safe travels for you.
Yeah, Carl, good seeing you again.
A special thank you, Prepper Papa Prayer Warriors for little Jay. He may get to come home this week. Praise God, amen. Absolutely, Tech. Praise God, that little boy. I couldn't imagine going and getting to come home in the same week. I don't know if he was in there or not, Jim, but Tech-Hearted Prepper, his friend, little boy, went through surgery a few days ago. They completely removed his spine and replaced it with a plastic spine. Whew, I couldn't imagine. But that is awesome. Definitely praise report. Yep, there's We the People's channel. Thank you, Mames. I appreciate it.
B&B, thank you.
Thank you, B&B. Hey, Frenchman, good to see you, man. Thanks for coming. we're actually getting ready to wrap it up. Do you, Frenchman, do you have any type of radio questions or CB questions or anything like that for Jim before we wrap this up? Yes, Mrs. Papa Prepper, you are right. Absolutely, end of days. Names, once again, could you throw up end of days channel, please? I'd appreciate it. Well, thank you, Rev. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Good to see you here. God bless you. And oh, yep, okay. I was gonna say, and Reverend, she's already on it, brother. Um, Five says he used to be in radios when he was younger, and said his radio output was about 1,000 watts. Oh, here's one more question.
Yeah, Papa, you may want to throw that first link out to programming the UV5R from the keypad. That would be that
Okay.
would help the Frenchman out there.
Okay. There you go, Frenchman. That link I just threw up should help you with about anything you need.
Frenchman, that site there tells you how to program the UV5R from the keypad without having to download any software.
And that is awesome. Liz, it's Bassett, Virginia. If you're talking about the get together. You're very welcome, Frenchman. Five Virgins Prepper said the '60s was a blast.
I wouldn't know. I was all of about 6 weeks old when the '60s went out, so I don't remember.
All right, guys. If there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Green Thumb Prepper is going to be live over at Hutch Homestead at 9 p.m. So right after this, if anybody wants to hop over there and see him. But Jim, again, brother, thank you for being here, man.
We'll have to do it again.
You helped a lot of folks tonight, answered a lot of questions. But nobody else has got anything. I'm going to go ahead and shut her down, guys. But Saturday, I do want to announce real quick, Saturday night, our very own, he don't have a channel or anything, but Tech-Tarded Prepper is going to be here with us Saturday night. He is absolutely phenomenal when it comes to silver. Buying, selling, trading, whatever. He really knows his stuff. I know a lot of people have asked a lot of questions about silver. It's a very hot subject right now, a very hot commodity right now. So he will be over here Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Should be a really good show. But until then, guys, God bless you all. Stay safe. Guys. Papa Prepper out.